It's your girl, vkjehannum, and the V stands for Vidian. Tonight I'm going to talk about the Tower of Cressen. Now, the Tower of Cressen is one of the 13 Towers of Apotheosis in Maergzjirah sorcery. A Tower of Apotheosis is a subcategory of Maergzjirah magic. The Tower of Cressen is governed by Eliverin, the Spider Queen of the Drith. The Drith are a type of Fae, and the Norse pagans knew them as the Svartalfar or Dark Elves. Now, the Tower of Cressen is the tower that has always been the focal point of my Maergzjirah work, and it's been a very interesting ride, to say the least. I found that two things are mandatory to do somewhat regularly when working with the Tower of Cressen. One is spending time out in nature. You don't have to do anything specific out there, just you need to be out in nature somewhat regularly. Physical exercise of some kind regularly is also mandatory. I've found that it's important in the Tower of Cressen to develop a sense of fearlessness, which is something I've worked to cultivate by meditating with the Drith Lord Olare. Animal totems are a very big part of Arania Magia, which is what you call magic working with the Drith. Arania is, of course, the Latin word for spider. For example, I've got this cowbone necklace that is consecrated to empower both magic with both Arania Magia and Karaktian magic. I don't even remember what animal this comes from, but it's for certain types of spells using Arania Magia. There's one relic I was guided to create that strengthens meditations with the Drith. It's basically a consecrated bone from the leg of a canine. I was specifically told to get that animal. I've got one other relic that strengthens any rite of Arania Magia, and it's, of course, the skull of a crow. I've got 4 bottles of spider oil dedicated to different Drith on my altar, and I've used that in a lot of my spell work, working with them. You get the idea. Animal magic is a big part of it. So the Drith, they're very much assassins, like cold-blooded assassins. Illiverin is basically an embodiment of the ambition of Akraioth. The Drith are very competitive and ambitious. They compete heavily with the spirits of Karaktis in terms of necromantic prowess. Every Tower of Apotheosis has its own type of necromancy within it. Yeah. And there are various Drith lords and ladies who specialize in necromantic magic of some kind. Working with the Drith is a go-to for me when it comes to psychic vampirism, higher vampirism, curse work, etc. I've found the traditional relics and rites of Arania Magia from Dreadwood's literature to be very useful. The Drith tend to see outbursts of emotion as a sign of weakness, so that's one thing to keep in mind. I still remember pretty vividly the first time they came to me. The leader of the Temple of Maergzjirah told me, hey, the Drith are going to come to you one night and take you to their realm. So I asked which Maergzjirah book I should start with to learn about the Tower of Cressen, and he recommended Rites of the 13 Tongues, which is a phenomenal book. Before my copy of that book even came in the mail, I was alone in this apartment one night with all the lights off, and I realized I was suddenly scared of the dark, which, as a grown man, is not a thing that happens to me ever, let alone a fucking apartment, my own apartment. That was wild. Then I saw the Drith coming out, crawling along the walls and shit. I'm like, oh, those are those Drith things that Maergzjirah was talking about. I told him, hey, I haven't even gotten time to learn about y'all yet. Could y'all maybe wait? The answer was no. Those things were creepy as shit. They started following me around. I remember one time I was like FaceTiming somebody while I was driving to a gas station at night. I just looked in my rearview mirror and just saw one like rushing through the streets behind me. I'm like, oh shit, there's a Drith following me. So the Drith began testing / training me. So by training me, they would essentially attempt to attack and trick me. So, work with many dark spirits, a sort of astral poison that is given to the occultist. This astral poison will like sort of alchemically empower you. For example, when I was working with Lucifer's dark aspect for the first time, these snakes made of shadow bit me and injected me with astral poison. Now, a couple times, a Drith spirit would come to me and say, hey, I have brought you our poison. So I had to use my claircognizance to focus on the poison, and I said, hey, I can sense the nature of that poison. That's not alchemical poison. That's just poison. Since I passed that test, they actually gave me a blessing of some kind. On one occasion, while I was minding my own business, I saw a group of the Drith around me, just kind of like wandering about, and I sensed like one of them was there to attack me. I just had to sense which one it was and fight back. That sort of thing happened a few times. When the Drith initially gave me sigils and spells to use and work with them, some of them would be traps, or at the very least useless. They wouldn't all be harmful if I fell for the trick, but you know, some definitely would have been and were. They once gave me an entire fake breakup spell, and I embarrassed myself by trying to use it on behalf of others. Fortunately, I did not charge. I didn't charge the people money, I mean. But yeah, they were very fun to work with overall. I did some work with them just tonight, hence why I'm still wearing the Maergzjirah ritual jewelry I have. Is there anything else I want to put in this video? No, that'll about cover it. Anyways, that's all for now. Have a great night and enjoy your immortality. Check out the link tree in the description below if you want a little more VK in your life. By the way, since the Tower of Cressen is my specialty in Maergzjirah magic, most of the Maergzjirah material I release on Patreon will be Cressen related.